So hi there everybody. So this is going to be part 3. Today's the May 1st, 6 in the morning. I've gotten all my daily tasks done, and it's almost 7 o'clock. I woke up quite early today. I actually joined a webinar, but nonetheless, not important. Let's get down to all this. Alright, so what do we got here? Strategic foresight for the final aim is critical to focus on unless an inferior issue arises that may forestall the existence, continuation, efficiency, effectiveness of the underlying system, where resources need to be dedicated to correct for the inefficiency, error, unforeseen problem. So, what can you see here? The desired outcome. The sunshine. It's pointing right there. You see it? I want to be here. And I need to make all these decisions to get there. And I'm actually progressing, right? I'm moving to the right. Now, there's the issue in the way, but it acts almost like a wall. I can't see past that wall. Maybe I can see a little bit. And so you can see that those decisions are not such a sure thing anymore, right? It was so clear beforehand, but then this issue arises and we don't know what needs to be filled. Now, these potential decisions may not exist if the issue is not dealt with or ignored. So those options may disappear if that issue is not resolved. So if you think about it in a way, in a visual perspective, you won't be able to see them, or they may just disappear, whichever way you would like to say it. Alright, now what have I done here? Velocity of accurate effort must be maintained through constant acceleration away from the issue, otherwise it will be drawn to the consequence of the issue. So issues are like black holes. They can consume time, and they can some of them can never be resolved. For example, if you have a problem with a certain person, if that person has some issues that you cannot resolve, okay, that they have the issues, right? Like they, in their psyche, there's nothing that you can do as an individual that will get them to do anything. If you've studied Jung, it has to be willed from the person to wish to make those changes. Okay? So, if there's an issue, you can actually escape that issue if you keep accelerating your potential, going elsewhere. But you have to keep at it. You have to keep pounding at it. Well, not at the issue, but you have to keep pounding at the desired outcome. You don't let that issue bog you down. Otherwise, you'll always be focusing on those issues. And much akin to chess. If you want to be a good chess player, you don't play your player's game. You play the game that you're playing. And you focus. Maybe I'll bring this mic a little bit lower. There we go. You bring the focus to what you're doing and what your desired outcome is. Otherwise, you'll just be solving problems and issues that your player is introducing to the problem. And you might actually play, it could have been a really quick game, right? You could have just maybe you made a calculative misjudgment, right? Instead of just always thinking positionally and making sure that that person can't attack you, maybe you could have just went for a simple gambit and had a checkmate in 3. with no recourse from the opponent. So sometimes you need to think about yourself, right? Okay, think about yourself and your desired outcome. When an issue of consequence presents itself to us, we can choose to deal with it, knowingly, strategically evade it, or ignore it. By curtailing the issue, we find that the issue itself is more consequential and amplifies in difficulty to consider, resolve, deal with. So that's why we need to, if we wish to escape it, we need to accelerate whatever we're doing. Otherwise, it will actually amplify and grow, right? Let's say, for example, you have a company with debt. If you don't grow revenue, then that debt will become a problem. So you need to escape that. You need to escape that that gravity, okay? Because debt is ever compounding, right? And debt's not a problem if you can deal with it. So you can have that debt on your book, but if the revenue grows, actually you're shrinking that debt, even though if you're not paying it down. Why? Is because the risk you took for initially having that with the lower revenue was higher than it is now with the higher revenue and lower debt to that ratio. Okay, so it may also hamper our ability to make quality decisions across a horizontal plane, and we may to remain in a vertical where decision choices are rather binary and constrictive to option. Wow. Okay, so what do I mean here? Horizontal plane. So what I'm meaning is, if you want to make a decision, right? So left to right for you, probably this direction. If you're going, sorry, itchy finger. If you want to go this way, well, you want to reach the goal here. That's what I mean by horizontal plane. And vertical is your choices. So options A, B, C, or D. So if we're just trying, if we're trying to go to the goal and we wish to evade that problem, the quality of the decisions we need to make may be limited simply because of the issue not being resolved. So again, it needs that velocity, it needs that speed, it needs that acceleration away from the issue. All right. And of course, if we're moving in a horizontal plane, more options will be available to us. Why? It's because we've made more decisions. Now, let's think about technology. Man started off with, let's say, a kind of a bone axe or quartz axe. He was then able to craft, let's say, a canoe. And then with that canoe, he was able to craft well, not with the canoe, but he was able to also craft, let's say, a paddle that would provide him leverage, right? With that same quartz, he was able to, for example, cut some kind of grass into fine yarn so he can make a net. And then he would go out and get a net full of fish. And also he may have actually hunted down animals faster, so he could actually dedicate more time. So using quartz arrowheads or whatever, right? So is it quartz or I forget this? I forget the kind of stone it is, but it's kind of like a glassy stone. All right. So um, if technology allows for more of these things, right? Or maybe, for example, you can even make kindling. So starting easier to make kindling. You can start a fire faster. Just everything works faster. So till today, we have computers. Our options now for what we can do with the computer versus what we are able to do with just a pickaxe or a quartz axe are so monumental. It's like it's practically infinite now to just a few options prior, and it's because of that acceleration towards this technology, right? The more the closer we get to the closer, I don't know how do I say this, the more sophisticated our technologies become, the more options we have. And this can be observed also in specializations, right? It just ties in, right? When we were cavemen, you can be hunter, gatherer, farmer, maybe shaman, right? Those are the options. But shaman was a luxury reserved by technology created by those like that came up with the quartz axe and quick fire and flint or whatever, or even just all that technologies, right? Because someone had to take care of that shaman, because shamans don't really produce anything except for maybe wisdom. So there was only, let's say, 4 specializations, but now if you read the news, there's more and more specializations. You can see it if you go to a university course offerings page. I mean, the list is getting longer and longer. Just 50 years ago, there was only like a handful of things you could have done. So the world is becoming more specialized, and we all know it to be true. And it's because of that availability of options, because of technology. Okay? Alright, so if we can find that we can move into another plane of choice, we can suffer from the repercussions of crystallization of the underlying issue and may lose the possibility of making any choice whatsoever, either in the tangible world or the tangibility of our emotion or broken psyche. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, if we can't escape that, we're just going to be bogged down by this thing, and it's going to give us stress, and we need to focus all our time on it. If we can't escape it, it's going to suck us in. We have to deal with it constantly, right? Constantly. So either resolve it quickly. If you can, it doesn't take much resource or escape it, right? As an example, for a common man, you may have credit card debt, right? So if you have credit card debt, you need to pay 20% per annum. Well, either you can A, pay it back with your savings, if you have any. There's a reason why you have that debt in the first place. Probably you don't earn enough, right? Or it's just you have poor spending habits. But the likelihood you're going to be able to change your habits is very low, because you're an adult now, and that's why you're given a credit card. So the likelihood you're going to change your habits is quite low. But what you can change is your income. And that's just a choice that you can make. You can work harder. It is an option, right? Like, you are not entitled to 40 hours a week. It's not in the Magna Carta. It's not your right to work, but work only 40 hours. But yeah, people don't want to hear that, so whatever. Alright, let's continue. Doing your own brain surgery or neuroplastic intervention of toxic thinking and renewing your mind is based on regular exercising of your brain. Change takes place over time through continual persistence. Intervention of the mind changes the brain physically, chemically, structurally, and functionally. Yes. Why did I put this quote in here? I put this quote in here because your decisions change the options that you have available in your mind. So, your brain is basically a decisional framework, right? They're called neuron connections. I'm sure you've heard of them. They work something like transistors of a computer, right? Maybe you have the wrong connections. Maybe you haven't used your brain entirely, okay? But you can, if you can break those habits, whatever they may be, and they're usually, you know, for me personally, it's been indulgence, right? Like I used to really like chocolate. I still love chocolate, but I quit it. Sugars, coffee, caffeine. I don't do coffee or caffeine. I know, it's crazy, right? Not even tea. Tea is not caffeine, by the way. It's theanine. So, anyways, everything's possible. Yeah, and I'm much more mellow. People have known me from the past. They're like, Casper, you look tired. I was like, yeah. Maybe I'm actually not that tired. It's just I'm just mellow the whole day. So that's changed for me. So that's an option. And that's reserved me, steady energy throughout the day. And there's been a lot of other benefits, but that's besides the point. I'll get into that another time. Most people spend more time and energy going around problems than trying to solve them. And here's the reverse argument, and that's why I put in here. If you cannot, like, how shall I say this? If you don't have the wherewithal to deal with that problem, you should probably solve it, right? Otherwise, it's just going to nag at you. And I actually wrote another page to my book. It's probably like page 300 something. Is about how you should actually try to resolve problems almost immediately, because if you don't, you'll feel regret. And I suffer the failure of not completing decisions or solving issues. It's been a personal problem of mine. So, yeah, that's it for this page. Thank you very much. Catch up with you next time. That's part 3 of the manuscript.